Let's forget about all that so-called chaos on Capitol Hill. There's no speaker for 2.5 minutes. It's fine. It's not chaos. They want you to think it's chaos, and they want us to not actually know a thing about one of the many smoking guns, genuine smoking guns that surround Joe Biden and Hunter. This has received scant attention, but it justifies not only an impeachment inquiry, it justifies articles of impeachment. It justifies we're getting damn near close to a trial in the Senate. Take a look. Why is this not the biggest story in the world? A wire transfer from Beijing, China to Wilmington, Delaware. Destination for $250,000, Joe Biden's house. Wired from a Jonathan Lee, prominent Chinese businessman who was working with Hunter Biden. You'll remember the notorious trip that Hunter tagged along with his vice presidential dad to China back in, I think it was 2014. They went from the airplane to the hotel downtown and met with, yes, Jonathan Lee. Now, anybody, even the fake news, back when they still had a little shred of curiosity, knows that this setup stinks.
Your father did shake hands with Mr. Lee, though, correct, in the lobby of that hotel?
I don't remember, but probably. Yeah, I hope so. I hope he did. He was my friend.
Jonathan Lee.
Yeah, for almost 13 years.
He was your friend and your business partner.
Yeah, but I understand. So really, Amy, whether I'm in New York or whether I'm in Washington, D.C., a friend and a business associate is in the hotel, and my dad's sitting there. Is it inappropriate for me to have coffee with them? I don't
so that
find
meeting
anything
was
wrong.
not a mistake. It was not unethical.
100% not. No.
What do you say to people who believe this is exactly why people hate Washington? A vice president's son can make money in countries where you're...
Back then, that's during the campaign. Lied to the American people about the money situation, right? More on that in a second, but isn't it fascinating how he answers that? Basically answers it every possible way. I don't remember. No, probably, yeah. These are skilled liars. But weird as hell, Hunter might be telling the truth in this one instance, because the money in that venture with Mr. Lee, at least here, did not go to Hunter, it went to Joe Biden. That wire transfer went to Wilmington, Delaware on August 2nd, 2019, and Hunter wasn't there. In all of 2019, he was in California. How about that, huh? Yeah, that's where he did that interview with Amy Rohrback, right when his dad was showing up in California for a bunch of presidential debates, and famously said what I think the Chinese would really want our foreign policy to be.
What I would do as president is several more things, because things have changed. I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
That's 1 month after he got $250,000 from the Chinese, it looks like, according to all the evidence, and we have this from the House Oversight Committee. When you speak like that, the people who are oppressed, genuinely oppressed, already know America, land of the free. But the people who want money, opportunity, a life of crime, sorry, they take that as a signal, come, we're letting you in, and we are. All that money that went to the Bidens from China, is that why we let that balloon sail right over this country? I mean, let's face it, that was incredibly weird. I mean, wrong, inappropriate. I mean, just how do you justify allowing that to happen? You can't. But you can kind of see how it did happen when you factor in the money. Smoking gun stuff, more than adequate for articles of impeachment. Now, a couple more things about the speaker. You know, they say that Kevin McCarthy, well, guess what? I know that he was in it for the perks. That was a large part of it. Hey, look at me, I'm the speaker, ha, ha, ha. But all the talk about speaker got me thinking about an old speaker, a former speaker. His name was Dennis Hastert. Name is Dennis Hastert. There he was with Bill Clinton, right? State of the Union. Dennis Hastert, do you remember him? George W. Bush. I think he was the longest Republican speaker we ever had. A big deal. Yeah, his portrait is up there in the Capitol. And he went to prison. he was guilty of molesting children. He did it while he was a high school football coach before he entered Congress. Went to jail for it. You know, it received some media attention, but strangely not nearly adequate. I've seen Republican congressmen who've gotten pulled over for drunk driving receive more attention than he did for molesting children. Isn't that weird? Somebody who was second in line for the presidency. Now listen, you've heard of that Pizzagate situation. I don't believe that. I don't believe the Pizzagate story. However, the denials were almost louder than the story, the accusations, actually, the story itself.
A totally outrageous, easily debunked story of some child sex ring being operated out of a popular pizza joint.
Turned it into this amazing story, all untrue, about Hillary Clinton, John Podesta somehow being involved in a child sex ring.
Okay, I didn't believe the story either. It's curious, though, that Mr. Meek, all right, James Meek, he was writing stories about Russia disinformation and how the Russians were colluding with President Trump and all that stuff, right? You saw all those stories. And he cited the Pizzagate story as something that was obviously not true. And I do believe it's not true. But it's interesting that this man is going to prison for, you guessed it, child pornography and abusing children. He is said to have coaxed children into taking naked pictures of themselves and sending them to him, and other horrible, horrible misdeeds. This comes up all too often. A prominent, very high-ranking producer at CNN some time ago who worked closely with Chris Cuomo is now in federal prison for a long time for actually not just child pornography, actual illegal sexual acts with a child. These stories somehow don't receive the attention that I think they're due. Somehow a Republican congressman who gets pulled over for drunk driving receives more attention. Isn't that interesting? All right, what's next?
Today, I'm announcing my administration has approved an additional $9 billion in relief for 125,000 borrowers in just the past few weeks under that program. With the latest debt cancellation in total, my administration has canceled $127 billion in student debts for nearly 3.6 million Americans.
It's pretty low key when he's giving $127 billion of our money away. I thought he couldn't do this. Didn't the Supreme Court just say you can't do this, Joe Biden? They did in a 6-3 decision. He's trying to find a workaround. What's the word? Communist. This is socialist stuff, right? This really is what they were talking about. Free everything for everybody. The government is the be-all and the end-all. Leonid Brezhnev is a guy who ran the Soviet Union back in the day, and you know what? He has the same manner, the same bearing, and always saying stuff that's not true as our friend Joe Biden. Yep, always boasting about things that didn't actually happen. The economy's great when it's sputtering. Leonid Brezhnev and Joe Biden. Wow, a match that actually works. They got a lot in common. Next.
When was the last time you spoke to President Biden, and do you expect to now?
You know, I was thinking about that. It's been a long, long time. I couldn't remember when I spoke to him last.
You know, I've been thinking about this. I showed it to you earlier, but it's like he didn't talk to the president like I didn't talk to my Aunt Mary. When is the last time I talked to my Aunt Mary? I come to think of it, I should give her a call sometime. Kevin McCarthy, uncreative, unaggressive. I'm actually, as you know, I'm a fan of what happened this week. I am. I had to figure it out, but he had other things he could have done. I know getting legislation passed is hard, especially given the situation down there. But there are other things you can do. There's other trimming. And go to the White House and demand to see him. Did you hear about the guy who was nailed for dogfighting? Yeah, a senior Pentagon official, Frederick Douglass Moorfield Jr., arrested. Allegedly, he was, having dogs fight each other, totally illegal and wrong, and executing the dogs who lost with electric jumper cables. Horrible. This is also kind of horrible, far less so, but also weird. His job. Deputy Chief Information Officer for Command, Control, and Communications for Office of Secretary of Defense. The Office of the Secretary of Defense. The office has a deputy chief for information for command control and communications in an office. Talk about bureaucratic bloat. Wouldn't it be nice to get rid of some of this stuff? You can. There's a way. I keep hearing, oh, it doesn't actually add up to all that much. You know what? It actually does. Who remembers the movie Dave? Great movie. The whole idea is, it came out in 1993. Kevin Kline is in it. The President of the United States has a heart attack. This guy looks just like him. They don't want the country to know the president had a heart attack, so they get this guy to dress up as the president and act as the president. They don't tell anybody that the real president is in a coma somewhere. This guy comes in, and instead of just being a stand-in, he's like, what the hell, I'm here. I'm going to start doing stuff. I'm going to start doing things that make sense. Common sense. Watch.
A couple things I'd like to go over in the budget.
Do we have anything on the budget today?
No, I don't think so. Now, I think I found some ways to put back the homeless section of the Simpson-Garner Works bill.
Mr. President, I don't believe that's on your agenda today.
No, it's a last-minute change, Bob.
It's a last-minute change. Mr. Swamp, see how panicked they got? This is great. Bob, the chief of staff, represents the swamp. Remember that. And everybody around that table, but they come around.
We've got 17 defense contractors who are delinquent in their contracts. Is this true, Frank?
I believe so, yes.
So even though they're late, we keep paying them on time.
Well, in a sense. Yeah.
If we took that cash and stuck it in even an ordinary savings account, we'd be making $23 million a month in interest.
Well, technically that's true, but...
Oh.
Ma'am, I suppose it's true.
Okay. Okay.
Huh? They're coming around. The swamp doesn't want to cooperate. Some are getting it, but they get them bad. I don't want to give away the end of the movie. One more clip.
Carry the one makes $656 million, which means we can keep the program.
Right there, the swamp. A common sense president, fake president, just took power away from the swamp, and they hate it. That holds true. Folks, I know it's just a movie, but it actually inspires. And so did this week. Matt Gaetz on the floor of the House of Representatives. I know. The swamp says no, right? Just like the swamp was saying no to that fake president in the movie Dave. You can't do it this way. We've never done it this way. What are you doing? You're going to screw the whole thing up for everybody. You've heard that, right? I have hope somehow. And this is not chaos. All week long, the fake news saying there's chaos on Capitol Hill. Oh my goodness, the disarray. No, this is democracy, actually. You want to see chaos? We know chaos, right? The border situation. This is chaos. Children being brought to drag shows. This is insanity and chaos, all right? And losing a 20-year war, Afghanistan. That's chaos. The people, we can do a much better job.